Hi there, it's Nikki again. This video is all about content. If you've ever heard the saying content is king, well, it's true. So today I want to go over with you the importance of good website content. Content is as important as design. The design of a website is essential in making a good first impression on your visitors, but the content of the website is what will keep them coming back. Website content is different than other kinds of content. Website content, it's really kind of its own art form and different than print material because web visitors really prefer to skim text. Maybe nowadays people have gotten used to skimming other kinds of text, but different than a book or a magazine article, websites tend to be skimmed. And with literally millions of choices at their fingertips, internet users prefer to scan content for quick results. And if they don't find what they're looking for, they're going to quickly hit that back button and bounce right out of your site. So remember, you only have 7 seconds to capture their attention and make them read on. We've talked about that before. So I'm going to go over 6 tips that will help you put the best content that you can on your new website. You've been learning in our previous videos about website framework and layout and some of the awesome features that you can put onto your new site, but none of them really mean a hill of beans if you don't have the right content and really tell your visitors who you are and what you're about. So first things first, you want to make sure you're thinking about your ideal client when you start thinking about your content. Thinking about your ideal client's biggest problems as well and how you're helping to solve them will help you narrow in on making good content. And make sure that you take the time to brainstorm and research some powerful words that can help you to deliver your message. There can be certain words out there used in your industry or used with your particular type of ideal client that you really feel can make an impact. So maybe make a list of those. So let's go over some tips for making your content to go from good to great. Tip number 1, make your content valuable and relevant. If they click onto your site and they find irrelevant or outdated information, again, they're going to bounce right back off your site to find the next results that will tell them and they'll find what they need. There's nothing better than a brief, to the point blog post, article, paragraph on your homepage that's filled with the relevant and valuable information that they're looking for. Tip number 2 is to keep your content concise and engaging. So first-time visitors, which may be many to your site, will want to be able to quickly scan and learn the who, where, what, and why, and how of your business. And they'll find that through your content if it's easy to read. Don't put large chunks of paragraphs onto the home page of your site or really any page. There may be some exceptions, but really people are busier than ever these days. So if your content is not easily digestible, then you can kiss that 7-second good first impression goodbye. So make sure your content is concise and engaging. And let me give you some example of this. Let's go over a boring versus an engaging website. Boring websites use very formal writing styles. So unless you are something like an engineering, very technical or medical based type of site, you may have a little more formal writing, but most types of websites for most types of businesses won't. Boring websites lack humor and they use too many be verbs, things like is and are, was and were. They don't use photos or images or video, or the images and things on the site are irrelevant to what they're discussing. And they use long, boring paragraphs that honestly threaten to put you to sleep. So boo, we don't want boring websites. We want an engaging website. An engaging website uses more informal writing that the reader can actually relate to. Really take your whole idea of what you learned about writing and what you think of as copywriting and throw it out the window. Because really we want to bring it down and engage with your readers by writing more informally as if you're speaking to them. And it's always good to include some humor, but don't go over the top. Puns always make for great fun, right? Use very strong action verbs instead of too many be verbs. Remember, is, are, was. And provide relevant content, again, in short chunks, except where longer paragraphs might be appropriate, like a bio or sometimes even a blog post. So yes, we do like engaging websites, and those are some tips on how to be more engaging. Tip number 3 is to always focus on creating strong headlines. Headlines are so very important. Headlines are going to be the things that people will see first and foremost on your website. So at the top of your site, in your slider area, maybe in your header area, is where people are going to see your site first, and this is where a strong headline should go. A good headline will spark interest and invite readers in to look further into your site. And according to Copy Blogger, who's an amazing website with all kinds of great information about copy, their statistics show that 80% of people will read your headlines, but only 20% of those people will read into the rest of your content. So with those kind of statistics, you've got to make sure you don't skim over writing a headline. They're the first things people read, and they are the basis that people use to decide if they're going to read your article, move further into your website or not. So take the time with your headlines. If possible, write out a few and select the ones which you like best. Now, here's a quick 3-step formula for writing a good website headline. Step 1 is to say what it is. Step 2 is to say what you get. And step 3 is to say what you were able to do with it. Now, that may sound like a lot of information, and again, we want headlines to be short and to the point. So let me show you an example. Here's some website that all of us really should be somewhat familiar with or have heard of, is Airbnb. And their headline, you'll see right there on their front page, in their home image area, they have a headline, find a place to stay. So, and then rent from people in 30,000 plus cities in 192 countries. Okay, so say what it is. Well, it's a thing to help you find a place to stay. What do you get? Well, you find a place to stay, and what you're able to do with it. Well, you're able to search and rent from 30,000 plus cities in 192 countries. So it's short to the point. That's a little extended, but it's very, very clear. So that is one example of writing a good website headline. So think about that, focus on those headlines. Tip number 4 is be able to provide answers. So remember, you are here helping your ideal clients to find solutions or answers to their biggest problems. So make sure that your content is answering those questions, answering those biggest problems. It's the same when people are reading a blog post or viewing an infographic, watching a video. They want an answer so that they can gain knowledge. And an additional tip here is people don't just want answers, they want answers fast. So again, make sure your content is easy to scan so people can pick up the juicy important bits real quick. And the best content also gives the user a sense of how to apply the information. It doesn't degrade them by telling them what to do, but rather respects them and provides them with assurance that they will know best how to use the material, the answers that you've given them. Tip number 5 is to keep your content and yourself credible. Remember, you are an expert in what you do, or you wouldn't be writing about it. And it's that expertise that are going to influence your potential clients and customers to choose you over a competitor. And it's that expertise that your website's visitors will be making judgments about while they browse. So what this means is that you really need to be diligent and avoid following these mistakes, which is spelling and grammar errors, missing citations for research maybe you've mentioned, or sources that you're quoting from, anything derogatory, unprofessional, or overly personal other than your bios. Like we said, we do want to write without a very impersonal style, but we don't want to get overly personal. Your content should also not be distasteful. So again, Don't be unprofessional, don't be distasteful, and make sure that you're not using false facts or inflated qualifications for things. Keep yourself credible. And tip number 6 is to communicate better by adding images and videos to your website and related to your content. Use relevant images and video that complement your text and enhance your site's visual appeal. Whatever you're writing about, add pictures. No one wants to look at paragraphs of text unless you're writing a book. However, only add images and video that help or add value to what you're writing about. And one last piece that's very, very important. Only use images that you have a license or permission to use. So purchasing a license for use off some of these maybe stock photography sites, or if it's local images, maybe say of your local area. Many times there are copyright infringement if you use those images. So finding and inserting images that you found on Google that can get you into copyright hot water. So make sure you have permission or a license to use images. One of the best ways, if possible, take the images yourself. Or again, purchase images off a stock photography site and own the license to use them. Now, actually writing your content. Now, this leaves the all-important question, how do I get content for my site? And clearly one option is to write the content yourself. And if this is something that you feel comfortable doing, then of course it's also the cheapest option. Many people are great writers. You know your business best. If you can find a way for you and or your team to write your content following some of these tips and rules, you can put out some great content. But many business owners just don't have enough time to spend on putting out high quality and original content. So in these situations, you could hire a professional copywriter. A good copywriter will take what's called a brief, which outlines the main themes and ideas to be discussed, and can usually put out high quality, well-written content, articles, website content, white papers, blogs, anything that you might need. So a local copywriter, you might find some resources on where to hire someone local, or there are some online companies. One company we're familiar with who is a good source is called TextBroker. It's not too expensive, and you actually have a huge pool of people to look through and potentially find the right copywriter for you. So I really hope you're able to get some good information from this and start being able to think about having great content on your website. So let's get to work. Happy writing!